Okay, what's good, everybody? Welcome into Coach and Company, the podcast. We do this every single weekday to support the morning show. If you missed any of Coach and Company today on Stadium, Bally Sports Live, YouTube, or socials, I encourage you. You can always go back and watch on my X or on our BTT X or on our Coach and Company X, or, of course, always on our YouTube page. If you have not subscribed to both of our pages, please do that and do it right now. They're both growing, and we want you to turn on those notifications to get every single piece of content that we put out. In addition to this podcast coming up 2 to 4 Eastern time on Sirius XM Sports, Channel 156, Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7. It is Off the Ropes with your boy, the Coach. That is me. Then at 5 p.m. Eastern time, the Coach and Bro Show. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight is the Monday Night Grind as we count down to the Eagles and the Packers, a very important Monday Night Football game. Who's going to be the next to get into the Legends Lounge? Now, joining me this morning, as he does on most days, he is sitting in the host chair, a lot of times in the evening. My man from Sure Don't USA, Mikey P. What's good, man?
How are you, sir? Great action in the NFL this weekend. And, Coach, before we bury the lead, let's make sure we give our flowers to one Derrick Henry, who, after playing 10 seasons in the NFL, has finally surpassed his career rushing yardage that he had in high school. 10 years in the NFL, couldn't do it what he did in 4 years in high school.
What a beast. What a beast. There's a kid out of Indiana, by the way, that's getting ready to break those records, his high school records.
Yeah.
I love some of these creators that do the whole thing where they get in front of the green screen and do that. You and I are working on a new project together that's going to be super cool. So I follow a lot of these guys, and one of these creators focused on that kid from Indiana the other day. His number, he's averaged like 340 yards a game, not in practice, in a game. It's insane. It's insane.
It's scary to even think about Derrick Henry in high school, right? Because we know he's a grown man at this stage of his NFL career. But what was he like in high school? And you're a sophomore linebacker, and your defensive coordinator goes, "I don't care what he's built like, tackle him."
I would imagine it's very similar to the video we saw with Zion Williamson when he was in high school. Remember that little white dude that was standing next to him at the free throw line? He's like 5'7", and he was like putting his bow into Zion. And kid looked at him like, "Kid, I'm babysitting you right now." That's what's happening here. That was hilarious because those little private schools play other bad private schools before they started playing the national teams, right? Oh my God. And it's always like 5'7" white dudes that are out there against like one random dude that's just yoking on him for 60. That was Zion or Derrick Henry on the football field. All right. So on Mondays, Mikey, we like to keep this thing to football. And so far, every single week, there's been so many different storylines. I don't know that we've seen more bad bets, or not even bad bets, but just things happen that you're like, this is why betting is so hard. The Panthers losing by 10 to the Saints. Banana Land. New England scoring 28 and covering their team total with a 69-yard run with 1:40 to go in the game. The Rams and Seattle both go north of 40. The Jets beat the Browns 27-20. But the biggest one, and the one where we're going to start on right here, right now, is the demise of the Buffalo Bills. They fall to 6-3. They were down 16-0 at halftime. Come out in the second half, big-time drive, Mikey, and then they throw an interception with, 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. They held the ball, and I'm sitting there screaming at the TV because I had them minus the 6. And I was like, can we act like we're not down or not ahead? But all in all, 30-13, it would be alarming if I'm in this Buffalo Bills locker room right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And the rumors that came out Sunday morning, the Bills were all in, trying to get Quinnen Williams for the Jets and Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins before the trade deadline. I think there's a reason why teams in your division won't trade to make you a better team. Look elsewhere. I'd be mad at the front office for not exploring other opportunities, but on the field, I know we have to praise a guy who's earned his respect and his dues around the league. But, Coach, given all the games we saw yesterday in the NFL, did we see a worse interception than Josh Allen in the end zone? I mean, it was just, here you go. Maybe J.J. McCarthy's deep fly ball to center field in that game against the Ravens, but Josh Allen did not look like an MVP, and I will say this until I am blue in the face. Josh Allen, most talented player on the Bills. James Cook, most important player on the Bills. When he's only getting 13 carries, there is something wrong with that picture. The Bills will not go anywhere until they learn who James Cook is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 receivers caught at least one pass. James Cook, 53 yards on the ground. To me, it was a lack of focus. It was a lack of energy. And there was one play where the player from the Dolphins, whoever it was, broke 3 or 4 tackles right in front of the Bills bench. And who's the Bills head coach?
Sean McDermott.
Yeah, Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott's right there, and he's doing the whole wrap it up thing 3 different times, following him down the field as he was breaking tackle after tackle. That was in the first half. I really thought he's going to go in there and light their asses up, and they're going to come out, play as great as we all think they can be, and they'll come out and beat the Dolphins, 23-20, something like that, whatever. They got worse in the second half. They played with less heart in the second half. And if I'm a Bills fan, it's alarming to me because, Mikey, we talk about windows closing. Josh Allen hasn't even been to the show, and he's supposed to be a future Hall of Famer, and your team is playing like this after what? This is his 8th year in the league? 7, 8 years? Something like that? I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, good teams find a way to win. And I would look at Shane Steichen and the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, they had to go to overtime to beat the Atlanta Falcons. But Shane Steichen, coming out of halftime, they were praising Drake London on the NFL Network broadcast. Shane Steichen said, yeah, he's a good player. But, however, we've got to turn it around. We've got to make the adjustments. Coach, did you or anyone else hear from Drake London in the second half? I didn't. It became the Jonathan Taylor show. Good coaches, good teams. They adjust, evaluate, and usually they win once they do those 2 things.
So now as we look at it, and it happens a lot, where fans and sports books are about, a game or 2 or 3 games behind what's really going on because we don't want to admit it happens with players all the time and teams all the time. I don't think fans want to admit that maybe the torch is being passed, that maybe Drake May is farther along than we thought, that maybe they're a team that is a year or 2 ahead of where we thought they would be at 8-2, a full game and a half ahead of the Bills because the Bills haven't had their bye week yet. Are we behind where we should be with the Pats are now the best team in the AFC East and perhaps the best team in the entire AFC?
We have to get rid of the narrative at week 10 in the NFL. Well, who have they beaten? You can only play the teams that are on your schedule on paper, the teams that show up on the field every single Sunday, Monday, or Thursday. And Drake May and the Patriots have gone in and done that every single week minus 2 games. And Mike Vrabel has changed the culture. He has changed the belief in that organization. While the Bills, if you thought this was going to be a smooth sail through the rest of the regular season, you're wrong. The Bills have a stacked schedule against them in the second half. The Patriots do not. So the Patriots play who they play, and they win those games while the Bills overlook each and every week their competitors.
You're right, man. It is. This is one of the more fascinating years that I can remember, just from being an NFL sports fan, and also from the betting side of things. Because right now, for example, remember the Eagles game earlier this year where they were giving like 3.5, and the other team, I think it was the Bucks, lining up for a field goal. It's blocked. Fall on it. No, we got to pick it up, and Carter goes back. They win by 7. Horrible. That was the worst beat of the year. Yesterday, what the Texans did. If you're betting on the Jags yesterday and you're up 6 with 35 seconds to go, you're probably going, beep, game over, bet I won, and the Texans score 13 in the last 31 seconds. That, to me, epitomizes the entire fall, the entire NFL season, does it not?
You're talking to a guy whose morning best bet was Jaguars minus 1.5 at plus money, plus 100.
Oh, I forgot.
So
Sorry, big dog.
So no. It was very weird. I hit the late afternoon plays that I had. The early afternoon, if you wanted to see like where my temperature was on everything, that's just a horrible beat. The Jaguars looked awful. They crapped themselves on the field, and Davis Mills, who knew he could run in touchdowns. But then on the other side, I had Caleb Williams over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Well, he didn't get there, but he ran in the game-winning touchdown. So I was okay with losing that one. Not okay with losing -1.5 at a +100 on a game like that. It was horrible.
Horrible. And if I'm Jacksonville and I'm now 5-4, look at some of the losses that they have had. And this is why fan bases struggle to be fans of certain teams, because it feels like you could put any player in a uniform for a certain team. I'm sure you feel this way with the Bears. You could put Patrick Mahomes in a Bears uniform, and somehow you would feel as a Bears fan, he's going to fail, even though it's Patrick. And that's the way I felt about our defense for the longest time. If you're a Jags fan, that's how you have to feel. You got to be like, we've got an owner worth, $15 billion. And it doesn't matter because we can't get the players to come in here. And Trevor Lawrence is always going to be what? A subpar, high level, $200 million quarterback. That's who they are. That's who they are. Now, on the flip side of things, Mikey, as we look at the rest of the AFC, Indianapolis went all the way to Germany, and Jonathan Taylor said, I don't care where I play. I'm one of the best running backs in the world. 31-25. The over cashes, they cover, and he went for 244 yards. Right now, his over is an absolute lock every single week. And Danny Dimes might be the comeback player of the year. But now they're 8-2, and thanks to the rest of the division stinking, they have, a 2.5 game lead in their own division with 7 to play. I'd feel pretty good about that.
I feel very good about that, and I think I'd feel very good if I'm Jonathan Taylor about changing the narrative of about what the MVP race means, what the MVP award is. Great story with Daniel Jones, but there's a reason why there's a comeback player of the year. That's for you, Daniel Jones. You take Jonathan Taylor. Coach, correct me if I'm wrong. Most valuable player. You take that player off that team, they don't have the success they have. That is Jonathan Taylor. The longest run we've seen in the NFL this year was an 83-yard run by Taylor yesterday on a run that looked like was stopped after 3 yards. Hold my beer or whatever they say in Germany. This man is the best player in the NFL, and he showcased that on Sunday.
There's a reason about every handicapper. I was looking at Sportsline, and you know how they put like the picks into their picks, and like they had 8 guys on Alec Pierce at over 52.5 yards. And I was like, can somebody please monitor this? I don't need 8 dudes, picking the same. But regardless, he hit that number in the first half because of Jonathan Taylor. And I looked down because I played it too. I was like, and I looked down. I was like, okay, there. And so then when Pierce started having a big day, what happened? It opened up for Jonathan Taylor. You're 1,000% right. At some point, Marty McFly, dude, coach is my favorite. Hello, bro. Hello back to you, Marty McFly. What else does he say here? We're getting some stuff. Yeah, I'm on live right now. Dude is the best in WWE. Yeah, tell all your friends. We're live here every single day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Both of them. Thank you, Marty McFly. By the way, I know you're a little young there, Mikey, but where does Back to the Future, the trilogy, rate for you when it comes to trilogies?
I'm going to say this and hope I still have a job status.
No, you're not.
Yeah. First I'll say, Coach, you once missed about 2 weeks ago. You missed a premium pop-up where the entire chat for 20 minutes mentioned shows and movies that I should have seen. The answer was no. I've never seen Back to the Future. Any of them.
I honestly, I don't even know what to say. I had no idea that I was doing a show with a person from a different country because you, sir, are not American. Not even close to being American. You haven't watched back. Let me guess. You haven't seen Secret of My Success.
Nope.
You haven't seen, he was one of the great movie/TV actors of our time. Doc Hollywood?
No idea.
Doc Hollywood?
No idea.
Oh my God. Love you. I'm working with somebody that's never watched Back to the Future, JJ. Exactly. Exactly. My son is 15. You can go ahead and stick your face on it. Go ahead. He's 15. Enunciate if you're going to talk. Go ahead.
I just don't know how this guy's been living. I mean, how old are you?
33.
30s, 20s, 33. Okay,
yeah.
I figured. And you still haven't watched Back to the Future, that's correct?
Correct.
Gosh. That's a sad life.
And you're the one going to school right now.
I know.
I think we should really address that.
We need to fix that. I'm
We
half
do.
your age.
Love you, son. I'm shook. I come and tell him. I got a daughter who's getting into the acting business. Killed it over the weekend. Go ahead, Kay. You can go ahead.
That is like a classic.
You got to talk in the microphone.
That's a classic. How have you never watched it?
Don't even know anything about it.
I can't hear. But
He
yeah.
says he doesn't have any excuse for it whatsoever.
You don't have to bother your time with the third one, but the first and second one are worth the watch.
Thank you, Kay. Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Boom right there. Best daughter in the world. And son, I might add. She destroyed it over the weekend at her play, by the way. Next thing, I can't even bring, oh my gosh. It's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing.
You know what we could do? We could start just, I could steal Charles Barkley's segment. Who he play for? And you can start naming like famous actors.
I almost want to do a watch along because these are iconic. These are movies that people reference when they're referencing lines. Doc. Oh my gosh! All right, I gotta.
Or Ted, Batman, and Goodfellas.
Oh my gosh! All right, real quick. I believe that's all the NFL stuff because we got to hit on college a little bit because I feel like the college football playoff is starting to evolve right before our very eyes. Because you and I talk every single week, how much is the eye test? And some of these teams that lost early on, like a Notre Dame, for example, they went out and they beat Navy by 39 and probably could have beaten them by more. But what it did was Navy's a part of that group of 5. So when the committee looks at it and goes, okay, they won by 39 points, how important is the style point? But then you have Oregon going to Iowa, and they win with a last-second field goal. You've got Indiana, which I believe that wide receiver, Mikey, probably has a 40-plus inch vertical. That's the highest I've ever seen a player on a play then come down, scrape their toes, catch the ball for a game winner. I would put that top 3 game winners all time in my fandom career. Where would you put it? And by the way, were you watching it live? I believe you were watching it. Were you watching that game live on Saturday afternoon, or what were you doing?
Well, I guess we got a case of the Mondays. I was not watching it live, but
you weren't watching Indiana live on a Saturday when everybody in the Coach and Company universe was tracking bets and talking on Twitter. What you weren't doing that?
I was at a country farm supporting Mrs. Mikey P, who was doing engagement photos, and you know what I actually ended up doing, Coach? Putting my hand up to block the sun. So when the sun got in the way of the camera, and I'm 2 foot nothing. Not really the shade she's looking for.
I really, really, really thought that you had your business handled at home. I really thought that with being knee deep in Coach and Company right now, understanding where we're at, that I would not have to explain this. But a country fair, can the chat please let Mikey know a country fair on a Saturday when we had LSU and Alabama, when we had these amazing finishes? But alas, I hope the pictures were good.
I don't know because I had nothing to do with them. But I did get home in time to watch Iowa cover and Mikey P's college football upset hit for 9 straight weeks.
9 straight weeks. 9 straight weeks. You should feel good about that. You really, really should. They should have won that game. I can't stand teams. I fall with Chase Brown. When are we going to see a team actually make a stop at the end of the game when they've just scored with 1:40 to play? It's almost like it's a lock that they're going to lose. And so now we're starting to see these teams, because we saw it last week as part of SVP's Bad Beats on what was the game where the guy ran to the outside and he had a game winner, and there's all those videos online, and then he knelt at the 1 instead of going into the end zone last week. I'm trying to remember remember that game where the guy knelt and we had like they were favored by 4. Anyway, we're seeing a lot of that because I think these coaches are starting to feel that way, Mikey, that they're like, if I score right now, I'm going to lose this ball game because nobody can stop anybody in the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, and Coach, could I ask where you're at on players having one play? This is something that drives me absolutely insane. Sometimes it does only take one play to win a football game, but can we stop with turning the narrative over a full game off of one play? And I'm talking about Dante Moore, the quarterback for Oregon, who struggled all game. He made the one pivotal throw that he needs to make against Iowa. He made it, and everyone's like, wow, Dante Moore, what a game. Were you watching the entire 55 minutes before that? Because I was. He looked average at best.
Whoa. I will not allow you to lie to our audience to face your narrative. You were not watching the entire game live. You just told us all that. So you watched the recap on ESPN.com and looked at the stats throughout the game. Now you may continue.
That's not true. We got home in time for Oregon and Iowa to kick off, okay? But I'm so sick of it. We see it in the NFL. It's a football thing more than anything. We look at a guy's body of work, and I would never call anyone out, Chris Collinsworth, but we look at a guy's game film and we say, wow, this guy's doing amazing. And then he starts to stink it up, or vice versa. And it's like, wow, what a performance. No, it's not. It's not. You can't have one play define your performance because that's not what coaches do. Coaches don't look and go, hey, Josh Allen, this was a very bad interception, but I like the touchdown pass.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I think the other narrative too is you're right about that. Is how is the committee going to look at some of these wins? Because Indiana is in a position to have a bye, and I think right now Penn State still has some cachet. They're probably not going to be judged that harshly for some of their bad losses, which there are several, because it's still Penn State. But as we get farther along, if we have 2 of these last second wins, do you think it could cost Indiana a spot? Because I haven't even looked at how who would face who in the Big Ten championship. But right now, that bye is so important. And if Indiana has some close ones, do you think it could cost any of these teams a bye?
Well, right now, I think this past weekend has already cost Indiana the number 2 seed because I believe Texas A&M will leapfrog them.
What about staying in the top 4?
They'll stay in the top 4. I think the 2 and 3 will just flip. Indiana's performance wasn't that terrible, and Mendoza showed he could win it at the end. But for me, Texas A&M, they just continue to roll through competition. I mean, LSU the week before, this past weekend over Missouri, who has a great defense. You can't tell me Texas A&M did not look like the second best team in the country over the weekend. So I do think we are at a point where the eye test matters more than the box score. How do you look from opening kickoff to the end of the game? I think that's where we'll start to see these rankings. And Coach, before you even ask, BYU, they got to get out. They couldn't do anything.
They got to be out.
They got to be out.
that is. I'm so glad you brought them up. I'll focus on those 2 things specifically. So BYU, there's that old saying in golf: you can't win the tournament on the first day, but you can certainly lose it. Well, you can't get into the playoffs with a loss, but you can certainly get bounced out of the playoffs losing that way. They were dominated in every facet of the game. They could not move the ball on Texas Tech, which is not exactly known for having a juggernaut of a defense, a good defense. But the way they lost, Mikey, what's the committee going to do this week? They're going to say, how would they match up against everybody else that we have including some of the fringe SEC teams? Well, with that performance, the answer is they couldn't beat any of them. So they've got to go, and I mean deep go, to where they don't get back in no matter what, unless they just come out and just steamroll people and win the Big 12 championship if they got into the game. A&M, it's going to be fascinating. Friday, November 28th, we could see an all or nothing for one side. If A&M stays undefeated, which I think they will, they've got South Carolina and Samford at home. They then have Texas that somehow, despite all the narratives, are now inside the top 10. They are very much alive. If they can beat A&M in week 14, Texas could get into the playoffs as the 3rd or 4th team from the SEC, which is crazy based off of, Mikey, where they were 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think there was a serious conversation we were having about the future of Arch Manning. Could Arch Manning possibly have been someone who would benefit from looking at the grass is greener on the other side? That's the way the early season was trending for Arch Manning. Now it doesn't matter. This is the beauty of the college football playoff. They wrote off Alabama. They wrote off Texas, and we're now talking on November 10th. And both those teams I just mentioned very much alive, and there's still plenty to figure out week after week. So Texas A&M, going to be an incredible matchup so long as both teams can get themselves there.
We will probably do a premium pop-up on Tuesday, and part of the reason, and probably Wednesday too. I got to look at the schedule, but obviously I want to talk about and lay out what it's going to look like right now, because I love the game within the game. I love the fact that now it's seeding and not an automatically slotted in as the champion. So now there's a lot of excitement heading into it, instead of just, we know it's going to be Ohio State or whatever the case might be. All right, that's going to do it for now. We never go longer than 30 minutes in the morning. Don't forget, 2 to 4 Eastern, Off the Ropes on Sirius XM, channel 156. The Coach and Bro Show at 5 p.m. Eastern time on our BTT YouTube page. And then me and Mikey, Raphael, and your favorite Fugazi, Big Tommy C, back tonight. Who's going to be the next to get into the Legends Lounge? How confident, Mikey, that you could get in for a third time before I get in for a first?
Well, I picked a Green Bay Packer. So deep inside my soul, I am very much hoping that I don't get in. I've never, ever imagined myself having to say go Eagles, but that's where we are. Because right now, Coach, as we about to close the page on Week 10 in the NFL, the number 7 seed in the NFC, the Chicago Bears. Fly, Eagles, fly. That's all I got.
One final shout out to my newest fan, Marty McFly. He said he hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Hit all the likes. Thank you, Marty. Tell all your friends. That's how you organically, Mikey, grow a brand. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens slow. One by one by one by one. Big Cheesy says, Marty McFly, please. Most of Coach's highlights in WWE is him running away from guys 3 times bigger than him. At some point, Mikey, Big Cheesy gets the block button. I just don't know when it's going to happen or what day. You feel me?
Do you know who won the Rams Niners? I was busy. I was at a country farm yesterday. Do you know who won the
you didn't? Oh, you don't know the score? Let me. I had forgotten about it too. 49ers. Did they win yesterday? Oh, they did not. They did not. 42-26. And Mikey, I'm telling you right now, the future of our relationship is based off the answer to this next question by you. You can take a right or you can take a left. Do you know who that person is on the screen with you right now?
He's from Back to the Future. He's the guy who created the car.
Great Scott!
He created a car, did he not?
You don't know the name?
The DeLorean?
Not of the car, Mikey, of the man. What do you mean? What? Oh, you know what? He was just known as Doc. He was Doc. He got killed twice, then they went back to the future and they got saved.
Now you just ruined it for me. Now I don't have to go watch it.
No, there's a lot more to it than that. All right, we got to get the hell out of here. We'll see you guys later this afternoon. We appreciate all of your support as we continue to grow. For Mikey, his home country of Bulgaria, apparently, producer man, we'll see you guys next time and tomorrow morning right here on the Coach and Company podcast. Take care.